Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. I just wanted to take some time out of your day to address an issue that I saw recently with a video by Scarfing Scarves, Tyler, pertaining to her friend Lor and the issues it has caused between the Black Lolita community and just multiple different people across the Lolita community. So, I went ahead and watched Tyler's entire video several times and I analyzed it. I will be referring to notes that I took while I'm doing my video. So, as I was watching this video, when I got to 41 seconds to 50 seconds, and I quote, you said, I still did not want to make this video. Laura's an adult that can handle her own stuff and doesn't need me running to her aid on a weekly basis. You also said at 1 minute and 1 second to 1 minute and 12 seconds that Laura begged you not to make this video, but you still made it, which caused a lot of drama, unnecessary drama at that, and it stirred the pot. It caused a lot of problems. A lot of people were upset. So, you also mentioned that you couldn't just stand by and let this happen to her because you don't know what type of friend you would be. But at the same time, you still disagree with your best friend's wishes. As we move on, I noticed that you mentioned accountability. Now, holding Laura accountable is not a problem. Okay, I wasn't particularly mad about the situation that happened with Laura, and I'm speaking about myself personally. I wasn't upset, but I do understand why a lot of black people were upset. And I'm speaking from the perspective of black people because I'm black and I can't speak from the perspective of anyone else. But I do understand why a lot of black Lolitas were quite upset at what happened. Given the situations that have been happening to us as of recently, black people in general, us being killed and murdered. Look at what happened over the summer with George Floyd. There were a lot of protests. We just have a lot of issues that we face. Some of us wake up and we have people that we trust and love and knew for our whole lives. And then we find out they were racist or something. And that causes trust issues. So people needed Laura to come out and reassure them that she was not a racist. And nothing is wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with her reassuring her fans that she wasn't racist and that it, in fact, was an accident. Moving on to your part 1 in your video. When we got to 4 minutes and 3 seconds to 4 minutes and 8 seconds, I quote, and you mentioned, Laura is a leftist woman in a lesbian relationship living in Canada. So, mentioning this, it doesn't exclude people from being racist or an issue. While I don't take issues with Laura, I do have to say that it is quite time for people, specifically non-black people or non-people of color actually, to stop doing as though Canada is non-problematic. Canada does have race issues. Black and brown people do face racial discrimination in Canada. And indigenous people that already lived in Canada face discrimination. There's Islamophobia in Canada. Also, the LGBTQ community can be quite racist to black people and minimize their issues and say, well, because I'm gay, I can't be racist because I'm a marginalized group. I'm discriminated. But they, in fact, can be very racist. Some of these people take it upon themselves to steal African American vernacular English and claim it as just gay dialect, white gay dialect. And they don't credit the black community for any of that. Anyways, moving on to part 2 of your video. I noticed you had a lot of screenshots from a lot of different comments from people feeling a lot of different ways and expressing their true emotions. But I would like to refer to Laura's Twitter on January 7th at 2:57 p.m. She specifically asked to not be defended and to allow Black and other people of color to be heard and not to convince them otherwise. She also told her white followers that the apology was not for them, and she didn't want them to try to convince the people of color any other way or to speak over them. But I think it's quite ironic because your video and your audience, like some of the commenters, are doing just that, basically going against Lor's wishes. So as I viewed the comments, because you probably seen that I had some of the most not most replies, but I replied to quite a lot of people. But as you look in your comment section, there is a lot of Black people, Black and brown people, who were being dismissed. Their issues were being invalidated, and some people have even said their comments have been deleted, and they were quite upset about that because they felt like their voices were not being heard. Also, I think it's quite interesting that at 14 minutes and 48 seconds to 15 minutes and 37 seconds, you mentioned that Black Lolitas in the Black Lives Matter movement are tired and don't want to see negative things down their feed. But you made this video which essentially dragged Black Lolitas into this. Black Lolitas saw this down their feed. Black Lolitas are being attacked. And mind you, I know it's not just Black Lolitas that's being attacked. I know it's other people, because I am Black, I have to specifically talk about Black Lolitas. So this part is going to be interesting. This is important for later about the Black Lives Matter movement, Black Lolitas being tired. But anyways, moving on to part 3. When I got to 19 minutes and 33 seconds and to 20 minutes and 15 seconds, you asked, was there a meeting that you missed on who could be outraged about particular situations? You also specified that you cannot speak over marginalized people in an open forum. But if said marginalized groups are expressing their anger or upset about something that specifically affects their group, and someone replies to them dismissing their points or telling them that it's not serious or to get over it, gaslighting them and minimizing the issue, then they are in fact speaking over marginalized people, regardless of if the forum is open or not. That has nothing to do with speaking over marginalized groups of people. When I got to 20 minutes and 30 seconds to 20 minutes and 34 seconds, let me kind of look at my notes right quick. At 20 minutes and 30 seconds to 20 minutes and 34 seconds, you mentioned something about how it seems as though marginalized people are the only ones that can speak on issues, and you didn't particularly care about that because you said they shouldn't be the only ones to speak on issues. And you tried to make it seem like it was an overall thing, but it's not. It's not about marginalized people being the only ones to talk ever, but to defend and understand what these people are saying and why in this particular situation. In the situation pertaining to your friend Lor and her apology, and the situation that happened that led up to that apology. That situation, not all situations. Just to clear that up for you, just in case you didn't know that. Now, we're moving on to part 4. Now, some of the stuff in Lor's apology, like apologizing for the Harlem Shake Lolita version and the pose she did not directly affect me, because I personally don't have a problem with that. But I don't want to speak over any Black person who potentially, had a problem with that, had issues with that. But I do take issues with the fact that somebody told her that prison culture was Black culture, because I actually do find that, to be a problem, to think that those two things are the same thing. Um, Moving on to Lor featuring black people on her channel, black Lolitas, black J fashion wears on her channel for Black History Month. So I watched a part, it was 27 minutes and 34 minutes to 28 minutes and 19 minutes, where you talked about what supposedly happened between Lor and these black Lolita moderators and admins in a particular group that I will not name. But you twisted the situation that happened between the Black Lolita group admins slash members. I specifically spoke with one of the admins that messaged Lor. And the conversation did not pertain to worrying about being monetized and making money off of the video and off of black people. But they actually were encouraging her. They weren't trying to stop her. They were encouraging her to do this, and they thought it was a great thing that Lor was actually going to be doing something like this. But they wanted their stories to be told in a better light versus Lor's original idea of showcasing black Lolitas and black people in J fashion and speaking on traumatic race issues. They didn't particularly want to go that route because the admin and several other people from said group that I will not be naming expressed that not everyone that would be submitting would understand all of those issues. So it would probably just be better for, individuals to just give their own stories versus the original idea, to which Lor agreed with them. I just find it quite interesting that, you twist the whole situation and blame the black Lolita community, despite earlier in the video saying that we were tired of issues happening with us. We were tired of seeing negativity. Made it seem like, or at that part of the video, you made it seem like you were for black voices. But at this part of the video, you were blaming black voices and twisting what actually happened in said situation. Moving on to part 5. You addressed the comments seen on Lor's apology video, in which, in your words, you said was a truly concerning amount, of which I saw was positive remarks left on her video. She even had a very popular black activist, black, that commented on her video and left a very positive remark on her video. So because there were so many overwhelmingly positive responses on Lor's video, it really makes the point and purpose of your video seem more and more pointless and more like the pot was being stirred. Moving on to part 6, cancel culture. So I would like to take a small amount of time to talk about your fans, or for your fans who claim to watch your video. So there was fans who claimed to watch your video, but were in the comments saying cancel culture as a whole, just overall, was bad. Despite you saying at 37 minutes and 34 seconds to 37 minutes and 41 seconds that, you basically were saying that you were not opposed to cancel culture. You claimed that you were opposed to some things and some aspects in cancel culture, but I think some of these people missed the memo in your comment section. Some people would argue that your video actually enabled these people and gave them a platform to express these things and to say how they hated cancel culture and how it was just bad overall. And it was quite interesting because some of these same people were attacking folks and saying that if they disliked the video, that they didn't watch it. But I'm like, wow, how did you guys miss that point? Moving on to the unearned apology. Now, this part of your video is actually a huge issue. You cannot speak for people of color and say that the apology was unearned. Despite me personally not being offended by the situation with Lor, speaking as a black person though, from the point of view of a black person, as I mentioned earlier, I do understand why people wanted the apology, given all of the things that happened to us and people that we may know that probably ended up being racist and just different race issues, microaggressions, and everything that we have to deal with. It makes sense that people wanted to be reassured and wanted an apology. Laura did what many creators, celebrities, and influencers time and time again do not do. They might make a mistake or say something without addressing it, and it turns into a huge issue which can either be avoided or minimized with an apology. So in 39 minutes and 4 seconds to 39 minutes and 47 seconds, you said Laura was manipulated, taken advantage of, and people took her kindness for granted. You essentially called your friend weak. You called her weak for inviting viewpoints, all viewpoints, from people of color and not allowing an echo chamber to happen. But I have to disagree with you on you saying that Laura was manipulated and taken advantage of. Because I personally thought that Laura was quite strong and she was very open-minded for allowing all of these viewpoints to come through. That's something that not many people can do. Not many people can sit down here and deal with that scrutiny and just be under that pressure and just allowing just different viewpoints to come through. Gaslighting. I noticed there was mention of gaslighting around 40 minutes and 59 seconds, and I would like to once again refer to some of your fans in the comment section. Keyword here, some. Some of them were replying to Laura's comment that she left on your video, and some of these responses were very dismissive of what she was saying and how she felt, because some of these people were saying that she didn't understand the video, which wasn't true, because from her response, she pretty much seemed to understand what was going on in the video. She understood the video. But they kept on saying that she did not understand, she misunderstood it, she wasn't understanding what you did as a friend. Despite her asking you not to upload this video, they thought it was a good thing. And I thought it was kind of weird that they were talking over her and stuff. And your video was supposed to be about people talking over Laura and not listening to her. But these same people were not the same people, but some of your fans were essentially in the comments doing that very thing. So, moving on to 43 minutes and 42 seconds to 43 minutes and 47 seconds. You mentioned that if you upset anyone for any reason, that you must apologize. And you said this in a very sarcastic tone. But this isn't just anything. It was a pro-Trump post. And me and you both know, Tyler, that there's a lot of issues surrounding Trump. He's a very problematic person in our society. So I wouldn't just class this situation of accidentally liking a post pertaining to Trump as just anything, given that people didn't initially know that the post was liked on accident and they just wanted the situation cleared up. Now, if it was something as frivolous as people throwing a fit about somebody liking a color that they disliked, for instance, then I would think something like that is ridiculous, and I would agree with you on anything situation if it was something like that. As we move along through the video, I noticed that you kept on making the video about yourself and your feelings, about how you were upset and you were frustrated and how you had to make this video because of that reason. Now, while it is okay to be upset and frustrated for your best friend and for your friend in general, that doesn't give you the right to talk over Lor and say stuff as though, say that she's too kind to defend herself. It don't give you the right to make this video or anything, especially when she very much so defended herself and the problem was cleared up. People weren't really bothered by it, and a lot of people received her apology quite well. Lor's a grown woman and she knew what she was doing. You said earlier in the video that she doesn't need you running to her aid for defense. So why are you doing this so she can't defend herself? I believe that you owe Lor an apology, and I believe that you owe black people and other people of color an apology. But I feel like you probably won't make a genuine apology if you did go to make one. I really think you should reflect up on everything that has happened. And that's basically all that I have to say. Thank you everyone for tuning into my video. Have a good day.